and welcome to the second annual production of Our Monologues at Berkeley High. I'm Risa Sandhu.
And I'm Rishma Karel.
And we are your directors for this year's show.
Before we begin, we would just like to mention that we are performing on unceded Chochenyo Ohlone territory. The impacts of Spanish and American colonization on indigenous people are still felt to this day. We encourage you to learn more about the land that you occupy. We have included links in our program where you can find out more about the native land claims. We have also included links where you can find the Segregati Land Trust Fund, where you can contribute to pay land tax and also support the vital works of indigenous activists in Huchuin, also known as the East Bay area.
Just to give a little bit of background about the show, last year, directors Mara Halpern and Daphne Eleftheriadou made the decision to transition away from the Berkeley High tradition of performing the vagina monologues. Our monologues took its place as something new and deeply relevant to our community. It is based entirely on original submissions from our community members, which ensures that it is always reflective of our experiences.
Last year, weeks after Risa and I were chosen as the directors of the 2020-2021 production of Our Monologues, the coronavirus pandemic hit. It was impossible to anticipate what would happen in the near future, let alone figure out a whole show for a year later. However, we rose to the challenge, and our community supported us the whole time.
In the spring of 2020, we put out a call for submissions, and we were honored and humbled to have received over 45 beautiful monologues by the fall. We are endlessly grateful to each and every writer who shared their story with us, whether or not it is included in tonight's show. This show would not be possible without your bravery and trust.
After weeks of hybrid auditions and callbacks, we were able to gather 15 cast members and 20 written monologues. Thanks to the hard work and dedication of the cast members, we were able to form such a tight-knit community and also have a really, really amazing show.
Now moving into a little bit of virtual housekeeping as you navigate this live stream. In the description under this video, you will find a link to the program, which includes a list of all the monologues we will be performing tonight, as well as the authors and the performers of each one. The show is split into 2 acts with a 10-minute intermission in between. The runtime of the whole show is around 2 hours. Finally, we encourage you to show your support for the performers in the live chat.
Just a reminder, this show is not recommended for children. Some of the monologues are triggering to some audience members, so we have included specific content warning in our program. We care about each and every one of you, so we have also included support hotlines at the end of our program.
Since we are not charging for admission or selling tickets this year, we are relying entirely on your generous donations to keep the show thriving for many years to come. The suggested donation is $5 to $15 per viewer. The link to donate can be found in the description under this video or at the end of the program. All proceeds beyond what is needed for basic production costs will be donated to the TGI Justice Project and Bay Area American Indian Two-Spirits, both organizations that share our vision and values.
Lastly, we would like to thank the Aurora Theater Company and Berkeley Community Media. Without their support, this live stream wouldn't have been possible. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and we hope you enjoy the show. Bye.
I don't know if you've heard, but I figured I would tell you anyways. It didn't work. It's over. All of that for nothing. None of the officers, none, were charged for her death. Breonna Taylor died. The world exploded responsible? I don't know. I thought that maybe this time something might change. You know? At this point, I can't even feel sad. I just feel this pressure on my chest that's making it hard for me to breathe. And I keep thinking back to this one moment earlier this summer. You remember, right? We were at a protest, maybe 40 people. We were saying her name. Now, it's hard for me to say. But back then, it felt so necessary. At protest, the words, "Say her name, Breonna Taylor," was like a heartbeat, pumping thick, red blood into the veins of everybody there. I remember at this one protest, we got up on the ramp leading to the highway and stood in front of the line of police officers blocking our way. Some moments, we were tremendously loud, chanting and screaming. Other moments, we were silent. I remember this one black policeman. He started crying. It's funny because I know that he's been affected by the exact same racism that made one of his own men kill her. Kill Breonna Taylor. I don't know how that one name, Breonna Taylor, can have such an effect on me. To me, names are just words. They've never held any meaning to me. When I think of a person, I don't think of a name. I think of a feeling, or a color, or an image. So how is it that one name can cause so much pain? Maybe it's because of everything that name carries on its back. The weight of her killers, the weight of their freedom, the weight of this summer, the protesting, the educating, the coming together, the weight of all of our hope, and the weight of our hope when it is crushed. Her name taught me that all of us are tangled up in the thick, gnarled roots of systemic racism. That racism in America, it's like dust. You don't notice that it's everywhere. Floating in the air, resting on every surface. Until you shine a light on it. And then you see. You see it in education. You see it in entertainment. You see it in medicine. And in the case of Breonna, you see it in the police. And that's what's dangerous about racism in America. If you're not looking, you don't see it. And I don't know how to get more people to see it. Oh, I should probably go anyways. Just don't forget, okay? Don't stop. Because if you stop, or if you forget, then everyone else forgets. And if everyone else forgets, then the world forgets. Please don't let the world forget.
As far back as I can think, my body has never truly felt like it belonged to me. When I was younger, it belonged to the adults, to the parents, the teachers, the aunties and uncles and grandparents who have told me, don't dress like that, don't speak so loud, don't show so much skin, who gave me disapproving stares and disparaging comments if I dared to express myself in ways that made me happy. As I got a little older, it belonged to the men who first began calling out to me on the street, who followed me home, who made me too scared to walk at night or wear shorts or look at anything other than the sidewalk when I'm walking. To the men on the train or the bus who stared a little too long, a little too hard, a little too much. As a young teenager, it belonged to the beautiful girls in advertisements, magazine, porn, movies. To the girls who made me want to be whiter, smaller, curvier, prettier, girlier. It belonged to a society that showed me at an early age that I'm only valid as long as I'm beautiful in its eyes. And that, in their eyes, I was not beautiful. Even now, it belongs to the boys who touch or kiss on me at parties, who grab or yell at me as I walk through the hallways at school. To the boys who have made it so that whenever I cry, I feel hands crawling all over me. It belongs to the boys who have made it clear that in their minds, I only matter as long as I'm useful to them. I feel as though I've searched for this feeling of control everywhere, in sexualization and intoxication and adrenaline rushes and meditation and noise and silence, and still it is just out of reach. I crave control. All I want is to feel as though my body belongs to me and me alone. To feel in control for once in my fucking life. Is that too much to ask?
Dahyu sayo. You. This mother tongue rhythm, quick to finish the sentence I've been asking for a while now. Wondering if I'm writing an elegy. Like, if this all starts and ends with you. Because of you, hundreds of thousands of people are proud to be Pinoy. A series of chills spread to every inch of my barely 5-foot body when I hear your chant. That used to sound foreign to me. That I had stuttered repeating after those who spoke Tagalog since they were 3. You are the immediate response when someone asks me, what's Philam History Month? The celebration of resistance. Celebration of claiming your place in this country. And as I take notes to remember your importance to my identity as a Philam, I selfishly ask if this is even my history to claim. Quote, "The past is alive, a living thing. You own it, owe it. You have a sacred legacy, a birthright." Unquote. Dahil sa'yo, there were no sacred legacies, no birthrights given to me. Of the history that I learned in school, there was nothing that was mine. A Tayo Pinay kid, hands empty. Because how can I own something that I don't know? How can I truly own my sacred birthright when I don't even know what is supposed to be mine? Dahil sa'yo. A book that I have not finished yet, behind on the first chapter, thought I had enough time. Time and time again, this looking and searching through you, for you. Restless, at the back corner of a classroom, watched you backbend since this morning, since these years set foot on dirt, buried this life here, lived here. What does it mean to die here? Again, on the page, breathless, waiting to fall off the precipice of you. Watching myself trip on names I do not know, like how they were tucked neatly away. This history that's been bent to fit inside convenience, and how it digs and digs at my roots. If I could build a time machine, I would. But instead, I search for you in me. Learn to live with the burden that I must do better than those who came before me. And be validated by this country's most prestigious colleges. And fulfill the dream that dangled above your head. I don't want to disappoint you. I don't wish to defy you, but I don't even know what would make you proud. To claim, to own, to belong. Because of you, I breathe. I wonder, I dream, I live to be what you have pushed me to be. Do you think they think about me? Wherever they rest, even though I don't know their names? How will I live for them? Live for me? Live for my future appos? Dahil sa'yo, I ask, what does it mean to know something? Like, do I belong to this history and does it belong to me? This story I keep writing and rewriting, like, am I supposed to be in this? Telling this dahil sa'yo? Because of you. Dahil sa'yo. Do I do it because of you? Did you do it because of me? And will they do it for me just as I did for you? I guess what I'm trying to say is, who is this all for? This space, room, blank on the page, still learning if I'm supposed to heal with this, how this wound left marks on the paper I don't know how to erase, can't leave the evidence of myself. Ugly. Dahil sa'yo, I craved whiteness. I craved long legs, green eyes, a button nose, Nutella sandwiches with the crusts cut off. I remember scraping mapo tofu and rice out of my lunch thermos and into the compost. My lunch left uneaten not because I wasn't hungry. Dahil sa'yo, I craved whiteness. I craved whiteness, so I shoved down everything else. Down a little lower, into a box below the surface. So I left it there, watched it stay there, forgot that it was there. Dahil sa'yo, I decided to open it back up again. This box that was meant for me, given to me. But maybe it's not that I was given something to own. Maybe it's more like a gift of knowledge was placed in my hands. The power to cherish and hold. The knowledge that I have belongings, that my hands should be filled, overflowing, past my fingertips, through my body, healing forgotten parts of me, these wounds. Began to remember this body again. Began to stumble and fall through it all again. This outward movement of reaching through the ether. This relentless navigation. Like maybe this is a part of healing. Like maybe I will always be healing. And learning how to just be here. Present. Dahil sa'yo, I dare to struggle. I've learned what it means to live in this skin with these roots that haven't yet reached their center, that are slowly watered by the tears that unapologetically fall from my face as you sit here telling me to simply breathe. Dahil sa'yo. Filipino accents remind me of good food, warm hugs, and laughing at your own jokes. Dahil sa'yo, I love loving and I love loving you. Dahil sa'yo, I know that brown women have a certain strength and power that no one else does. I am a brown woman. I have a certain strength and power that no one else does. You taught me that. You never said it straight to my face, but you didn't have to. Dahil sa'yo, I think that you are beautiful. Your brown skin, crinkling almond eyes, and the way you smile. Dahil sa'yo, I think that you are beautiful. Your unstoppability, your grit, your ferociousness, the way you plant your feet. Dahil sa'yo, I love myself because I love you. I see myself in you and I see you in me. Dahil sa'yo, I think that I am beautiful. I think that I am a beautiful, powerful, strong brown woman. The way we tell this history, her story, their story, your story, pulsing. We breathe it in and out like instinct. A moment, this movement, a cycle that keeps us alive but passes through our lungs, runs through this blood, this body. This story we write and claim and create. To fill in the blanks and write in these margins. To be continued. Dahil sa'yo.
Do not tell me that she's not smart enough.
When she gets a D on a test that she worked so hard on,
And you yell at her?
confirming what she already thinks.
That she's a failure when she studies hours and hours and hours into the night, panic attacks forcing her awake, terrified, because she just doesn't get it.
When the fear of disappointing you consumes her mind, erasing all other thoughts until she lies in bed shaking, not able to move.
When she doesn't want to have a future because you made her believe that she will not be able to make it.
Do not tell me that she's not pretty enough.
When she already believes that.
when she covers her smile with her hand because you laughed at the way her face scrunches up and reddens and at how crooked her teeth are.
When she starves herself to death, hoping that when she is skinny enough,
She will finally feel beautiful. When she hates herself every single time she opens her phone
Or
camera.
looks in the mirror.
or glimpses her reflection.
Because society has told her that her worth is based on her beauty.
Do not tell me that she doesn't try enough.
When she is so exhausted from trying too much.
When she is so busy trying to gain your approval that she can't even love herself.
When all her damn life she's been trying and
trying.
You keep telling her that she's a failure.
When giving up feels like the only way to escape, so she stands in front of the bathroom mirror, scars on her wrists broken, the bottle of pills in her shaking hand, ready to end it all. Do not tell me.
That she's not good enough.
Do not.
She is enough.
She is more than enough.
And she always will be. Silk, light, flowing, soft. I never imagined could burden. But as I draped the silk over me, the heaviness of the world weighed me down. Its judgment, fear. I felt the weight in the disapproving glances, disconcernment of strangers, the fast-paced whispers, sitting self-consciously in my classes, impatiently waiting at bus stops, standing in lines for coffee, pulling at the clock. I had to pretend that its presence never affected me, that I could not be deterred. No one told me how much silk would weigh, how heavy it could make me feel. But this silk carries multitudes of colors: crimson, emerald, indigo, silver, of undammed rivers and vast starlit skies that know no end. This silk tells 1,500 years of stories of women who were teachers and mothers and learners and caregivers, fighters. My silk, a declaration of faith, ringing continuously in the air around me. It iterates over and over again. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. This silk has shown me independence, freedom, liberty. It whispers in my ear, you are free from the burden of being on stage, of acting for an audience of unnamed strangers, of singing a song you did not write. This silk releases me from the heaviness of having to be someone I am not, from the worry of the judgment of those who would judge regardless. Silk, light, flowing, soft. I never imagined could burden. But from the weight of silk, I claim my newfound freedom. No one told me how much silk would weigh. No one told me how strong this silk would make me.
You probably don't remember when it first occurred to you. Maybe it was when your grandpa pulled at your nose to make sure it was nice and pointy and not too wide. And you started to believe that you could shape yourself like clay to look more like the other half of your family. Or maybe it was that time when kids on the bus leaned over those cracked gray faux leather seats, pulling back the skin on the side of their faces to approximate your eyes and imitating pots and pans to show a truly remarkable understanding of the language they thought you spoke. You didn't think, what a bunch of idiots, or even, what a bunch of racists. You thought, do I really look that Asian? Maybe it was when you were forced to choose, when the video games that you and your friends were playing made you choose, when your choices were stereotypical white guy face or stereotypical East Asian face. So I guess you had a choice. That or you could flip a coin. When did it occur to you that you are a game? You are an argument that everyone gets a say in. You think you're having some normal conversation with a guy you've just met, and then he leans in like it's some big secret and asks, "What are you, dude?" I mean, like, specifically, though. It doesn't surprise you, you say you're half Han Chinese and half white, and some people have the nerve to be disappointed by your answer. Really? You're Chinese? I thought you were Japanese. Damn. And when you ask why that was their reaction, they say, "Oh no, it's just worse to be Chinese." You see, people are always guessing. Your own cousin thought that you were Filipino. Your relatives love to call you Middle Eastern. Both sides of your family view you as different, whether they admit it or not. Your white cousin went up to your older brother and said, "I look like you, but American." Because I guess somehow Asians aren't American. Of course you chose the white guy in that video game. How many Asian superheroes can you name? And really, what's more respectable? When you think of Asian guys, do you think powerful, masculine? No. When you were a little kid watching movies, who did you really want to grow up to be? What race were they? Your white cousin understood in America, white is default, white is normal and pure, and you don't want to be tainted. You see, but I know you. I know that you asked friends to rate you on a scale from 1 to 10, from white to Asian, and I know which numbers you were hoping for. And I know that you woke up every morning in middle school hoping that you'd matured into a white guy. But I also know how bad it feels every time someone sees your Chinese mother and can't believe you're related. So here's the truth. You are a self-loathing racist. You see, I remember a little kid trying to suck in his lips, or curl his hair more, or open his eyes more, staring disappointed at his reflection. You wonder whether your little brother does the same when you're not looking. God, I spent so much of my life hating you. Or blaming you. Or trying to change you. I was ashamed to be you. It's taken me all this time. All these years to realize that there isn't an answer. Never was. I am not one or the other, and I certainly don't have to prove which side I land on. I am not two separate halves. I forgive you. It's not your fault. You shouldn't have to feel less worthy or less desirable or inferior. You deserve to be proud of who you are. I forgive you.
I don't miss you. Not really. Not during the day when my hands are busy and it doesn't matter that my room is still covered with memories of you. I don't miss how you made me feel. Less than adequate. Like I was always one step behind. And I don't miss the feeling of losing you. Like it was my fault. Like I wasn't doing enough to stop it. But that feeling is gone now. You're gone now. And I don't miss you anymore. When we were little, we loved the monkey bars. Our laughter filled the playground as we dared each other to jump farther, no, farther. We showed our broken calluses off like badges of honor and laughed as the wood chips scattered across the ground left cuts and bruises on our knees. We pretended we were princesses or fairies or travelers from far, far away, joyful in that brief escape from the dullness of reality. But pretending only goes so far. I remember one day, our whole class went to the park. There's food and sun, and the sky was blue. Even better, there was a woman with face paint. We wanted to be fairies. Well, you did. I was happy to follow along. I always was. She painted our cheeks in dark spirals of blue and purple. You were so disappointed. We don't look like fairies at all, you complained. I couldn't feel anything but happy because you and I were together. And that was all I ever needed. You were my first best friend. Did you know that? You introduced me to music and to makeup. You taught me about truth or dare and what it was like to stay up late and have someone know your every secret. I always imagined we were tied together, like I could tug and you would come to me. Not anymore, obviously. I don't know exactly when it happened. When the first thread snapped, when the rope began to fray. I don't know where the middle ended and the end began. You moved on to other things, to better things. Of course, it's not your fault I got left behind. We're different people. It is as much my fault as yours. I know that now. Maybe if I had been a little faster to switch from t-shirts to crop tops. Maybe if I had preferred to go out rather than to stay in, maybe. But we were friends for years. Years. You can't just forget about that as soon as we stop hanging out. Well, maybe you can. I can't. It's hard to forget about someone when they're scattered across your room. Notes and pictures and the other half of best friend necklaces covered with dust. Things that I had forgotten to give away, things that I didn't want to see as obsolete. They're all gone now. In a box in the attic or at the bottom of the recycling bin. You're gone too, I get it. Maybe I'll run into you somewhere. Maybe I'll say hi. Probably not. I don't miss you, but pretending only goes so far.
Today in calculus, I was just sitting, minding my own business, when this girl walked in. She walked right up to me and sat at the desk diagonal to mine. I couldn't stop looking at her the entire time. She looked like the main character in a movie. She had like these little dangly earrings that would jingle when she flicked her hair out of her face. And her boots matched her flannel. It was the cutest thing that I've ever seen. She kept chewing on the end of her pencil, and when the teacher was talking about derivatives, she dropped it on the floor in front of me, so of course I picked it up. And then she smiled and was like, "Oops, sorry." Can you believe it? She smiled right at me. I think that we both felt something when we made eye contact. And I don't want to say that it was love, but it was definitely a connection. I bet that she's thinking about me right now.
I'm hungry. Should I make mac and cheese? Or I could have Doritos and a yerba mate. I ate a healthy lunch, so it's fine, right? I went to Trader Joe's with the same people as always. I'd forgotten about the weird texture of the chicken in those prepackaged salads. Definitely did not miss that. We went to People's Park and smoked, which way improved the flavor of the chicken. So we were a little late to fourth. I was still high in calc in fifth period, and I think this girl at my table could tell. She kept staring at me. I didn't know. She was kind of hot.
When I woke up this morning, all I could think about was her. I imagined her waking up next to me while we held each other and I gave her butterfly kisses.
And then we went into the kitchen of our cottage in the woods, and I make her an omelet with the eggs from our chickens. We listen to Claro and debate which type of tea is the best, and then she does my makeup and doesn't go on her phone all morning because she knows that I don't like that. I think that I might actually be in love.
I wonder if she's even into girls. She was sitting kind of strange with her leg bent up half the time. Straight people don't usually sit all tangled up like that. She was giving me the vibes, for sure. Something in her posture or her eyes. But my gaydar has been getting a little rusty lately. And besides, she was wearing a Brandy Melville top. That's definitely ungay. And I remember hearing she was dating one of those stringy white boys, although I don't remember which one. That was a while ago, though. I mean, it's fine if she's straight. I don't care anyways. And besides, I guess I can see the appeal of men. They can reach things, right? And like, penises are, well, they can do stuff.
Okay, tomorrow I'm really gonna do it. I'm gonna tell her how I feel. I'll just go up to her, tap her on the shoulder, and be like, hey, I know that we've never really met, but I just wanted to say that you're beautiful and I'd love to hang out with you sometime. Easy peasy. She'll think that I'm confident and sexy and I'll make eye contact the entire time. What's the worst that could happen? I guess she could laugh at me or tell everyone I'm a creep or never want to be near me again. No, I'm just letting myself out. I know what to do. I'm gonna nail it. And then we're gonna fall in love with each other.
Oh, hi. We have Cal together, right?
Yeah.
So, can I help you?
I don't need help.
Right. Cool. Well,
I actually
it was
have a
nice
question.
meeting you. Oh, what was that?
Nothing. I just wanted to ask you something really quickly, I guess not that quickly, I don't know, it's actually kind of silly. You just seem really, really
Can I
nice.
take your number?
When I was younger, there was nothing that I wanted to be more than beautiful. I was obsessed with it, studied it. And the women who I thought were beautiful, that I aspired to be like, forces of nature with perfect smiles and crossed legs that radiated who they were. I did not radiate who I was. I was not a force of nature. I studied the way they walked, sat on the bus, thanked people, and dressed. The women in my life and the women who floated by in moments of my life. My recent Google searches read, scientifically beautiful faces, how to fake confidence, good posture, how to lose weight from your things, how to be confident,
decided that I could never be beautiful if I wasn't confident. And I was sick and tired of eating only fucking grapefruits and staring at an enemy in the mirror. I taught myself how to fake it. I taught myself how to walk, how to sit, how to take a compliment. Shoulders back, back straight, legs crossed, always with a compliment in return. How to smile, how to giggle, how to walk in heels without falling down the stairs. If I couldn't have the perfect legs or a scientifically beautiful face, then the way that I moved through the world, the way that I carried myself could make up for it. And to some extent, for me, it did. That fake confidence grew into some real confidence, and I settled into my own skin and, for at least some part, forgot my own rules. I wish I could say I had just said fuck it, fuck all of it. That now I move through the world comfortably, unrestrained, in whatever clothes I love, and in love with myself and my body, and that now I am a force of nature. But I do not. I am not. The days that I love myself do not greatly outnumber the days that I hate myself. But the days I just exist do. I think that just being, without needing to be a force of nature, is enough for me. And I think that counts for something.
History of millennia of women who were forced to self-immolate at their husbands' funeral pyres. The world had told them that it was their duty. It told them stories of honor and shame, of love and sacrifice. Because their husbands had died, they were now used material. Their purpose now complete. My grandmother got married at 16, her mother at 13, her mother's mother at 9. They were all told the same stories over and over again. Stories of female commodification, objectification, told that women are things to be bought and sold, that an identity could only be defined by ownership. From father to husband to brother to son, never called by her name, only known as his daughter, his wife, his sister, his mother. This is the story of my grandmother, and her mother, and her mother's mother, but this is my story too. I am this history. I am the history of millennia of self-immolating women, tales of child marriages and brides being sold to the highest bidder. Nisha. My father named me after a girl he read about in the newspaper who had scored the highest marks on a national exam. He tells me he hoped to one day read his own daughter's name in the paper for having done something kind, or loving, or adventurous, or brave. I sometimes look up at the night sky and feel a sense of reassurance knowing that my ancestors looked up at those same stars. I wonder what my great-grandmother and her mother and her mother's mother would have to say about me pursuing a college education. Of me knowing that I am so much more than just somebody's daughter, sister, or wife. That ideas of female equality and freedom are always at the forefront of my thoughts, and that these ideas are no longer radical. Would she be proud? Confused? When these same stories have been whispered from mother to daughter to sister to friend for centuries. It's not so easy to rewrite these messages etched onto my brain. Stories of honor and shame and love and sacrifice ring in my ears. Still told over and over so many years later. The world is cold for women. A constant stream of, you're too emotional, too dramatic, you aren't smart enough, pretty enough, kind enough. You aren't enough. There are angry, silver mornings where I cannot stop the tears from flowing. When asked why, I find myself unable to respond. The heaviness in my heart sinks in. Simple tasks become unbearable. There are days where hate brews inside me. For the skin I walk in, I wonder, what would happen if I tore it all off? Would I finally be at home? And then there are moments where I want to give up. Living becomes hard. But I tell myself that I have come too far. Too many people have worked to get me here. I cannot give up. For I am the history of millennia of women who were forced to self-immolate at their husbands' funeral pyres. I owe it to them to keep going.
Thank you all so much for tuning into the first act. We're going to take a 10-minute intermission, and so you can take a break, stretch your legs, get something to eat or drink, and we'll see you back after that.
welcome back. Hope you had the chance to get a drink of water, get some food, stretch your legs. Now we'll be continuing on with the rest of the show. I hope you enjoy the rest of the show.
I don't want to tell you how to act when you become her. I just want you to notice how she breathes in everything. Your words, the sound of air leaving the mouth. I think quiet girl wants to breathe it out. Spit out the food, your food. She's choking. But you tell her she's fine. You tell her how calm she is, how mature and how collected. I don't think you notice that quiet girl is yelling at you. How all she sees is her voice echoing right back at her. I'm telling you to speak louder for the people in the back. Remember that soon, this will be you on that stage. You will become her, and she will be watching. Everyone will. You'll stand there and look at them. Seats coated in invisible faces. I don't think anyone showed up here for you. Don't bother looking. They're not there. But at least the audience will clap. It's a standing ovation, ear-splitting applause, but Quiet Girl needs it to stop. And people get up from their seats, and you want to tell them to stay, that it's not over yet, that Act 1 just began. But everyone is gone. There is no intermission. Nobody is coming back. Maybe I took your breath as languid and made a ghost out of it. Isolated from the body, a spectator. Maybe I should have given you more lines to say than thank you. I'm glad I'm here. I guess I just ran out of time to finish the script. Or I forgot about you. So here, take it. The pen, I mean. Because I know Quiet Girl will never put those thoughts behind you. She wants you to stay for Act 2. Watch. As the curtain rises, the stage turns into your bedroom. Quiet Girl is now in the silence which she needs to fill with her voice falling into the emptiness of you who is taking in each of her breaths as your mind erupts into flames, walls closing in. Quiet Girl turned loud, Quiet Girl screams.
You are born where you are born, South Berkeley. And you are born where your parents are born, Chicago and Sao Paulo. And when you are born, your parents kiss, and your papi cries sweet tears, and all of your tias shout, "Ela chegou!" to the block. And café con leite is shared in the yellow kitchen. Animated Portuguese on Skype calls get less frequent. They say that an immigrant's heart is split in two parts. And what does that mean for you? Born and raised in a cultural cocktail, poured in a stream separating North and South America, unable to touch both with your extended fingers. You grow up where you grow up, in the light green house on Alcatraz Street, playing in the park and running around the living room in costumes with your brother. And you grow up where your parents grew up, in favelas and foster care, and parents who left, and parents who died, and you are so grateful for the sacrificios that they made. And you learn how to thinly slice collard greens, standing on a stool to reach as Chia stirs a bubbling pot with a wooden spoon. And when she asks you to taste for salt, you taste 1,000 other meals, their flavors absorbed in the wood like little remembrances. And you visit Brazil and hang towels on clotheslines. Let's put some water in the beans because Dona Ivani is coming. Pick up soccer with a ball made of socks. And you return, and your tan fades, and you think and dream in English more than you used to. And you wince in disbelief when white girls talk back to their mothers. And you notice things, like how people call you exotic, or worse, fire off a list of countries that they think could have produced your light brown. Man, one of these days you should switch it back and ask for the origin of their pale skin. And it's been so long since you visited Brazil that your baby cousins can walk and run. And WhatsApp notifications go unanswered. Bitter tears laced with regret when family members pass away. Your dad's accent becomes less noticeable as he notes how he has spent half his life in America. You are who you come from. A mommy who is from Oakland, Chicago, San Francisco, and understands things like why sleepovers are fun, even though we have a bed for you at home. And English phrases peppered with Portuguese, and untranslatable sayings in samba music and imanja. And on one side, you are the first generation born in America. The family that got out, that neighbors and cousins of cousins ask for perfume and lotion and protein powder because it is cheaper in America. And you live in America. And you are American. And yet, you are so much more.
My rank. I know. It's not my fault. Even he told me that. Crying and crying as he begged for me to forgive him, swearing that he was a better man. He wasn't just saying that because he lost all his friends or got his scholarship taken away. He really was different now. Whatever. I let it fester for too long. 8 long months of it, feeding off of me, feeding off of my insecurities and hatred and fear. It's like a blister ready to pop, spilling pus and blood all over my hands. Does that make you uncomfortable? I'm sorry. No. Oh, my rape is not a blister. But it does have a face now. There are so many great faces in the world. Faces with blue or hazel eyes, faces with cute little freckles and perfect cheekbones, faces with pink puckered lips and eyelashes that curl to the moon. But, of course, out of all the faces in the world, my rape decided to choose my own, copying and pasting it to a body that I don't want anymore. I don't know when it appeared, but now she stares at me with those big brown eyes, ringed with tears and clumpy mascara. Tacky. Oh, how badly I want to slap that look off her face. I tell her to leave, that I have things to do and can't have her moping around like a whiny little bitch. But of course she doesn't. That's not how rape works. So I let her stay in my room, sleep in my bed, eat all my food, and look over my shoulder as I watch the same Try Not to Laugh video 12 times in a row. It's a distraction, but I can still see her damn reflection on the screen. She's not terrible to have around, I guess. It's kind of nice to have someone else there when it gets lonely. She's a good excuse for when I don't want to go out. Sorry, I can't go on a walk today. Yeah, I just have to take care of my rape. She's getting a little antsy. She's kind of pretty too. I mean, she must have been to have gotten his attention in the first place. But if I look at her too closely, look at the pile of bones and flesh and fat that she really is, she makes me want to gag. She's so disgusting. I tell her that too. Tell her that she's a disgusting, sloppy whore because honestly, who drinks that much and doesn't expect to pass out with someone else's dick inside of them? God, I hate her. I hate her for crying so much, hate her for drinking so much, hate her for puking in someone else's bathroom instead of her own, hate her for calling Lyft after instead of before, hate her for not screaming, kicking, fighting anything. God, you're so fucking stupid. You had a choice and you chose wrong, and now it's all your fault. She's never talked back before. Usually she just stares with her hands trembling and her eyes so big like moons. But she's speaking now through sobs and shallow breath. She's pleading, begging, other night. But she can't stay forever.
You feel it in different ways.
In different situations.
Different forms of severity.
In childhood, it might feel like being afraid of the dark and sleeping with the lights on.
It might be the experience of watching your classmate get sick on the art room floor in kindergarten.
You can't figure out why you're sweating, and your chest is tight. There's a gut-wrenching feeling you can't be in the room while it happens or you'll explode.
You take that feeling as a warning, nothing more.
When you get older, when
Deteriorating breakdowns.
and
Doctor-issued questionnaires
help you finally understand why you're like this, why you tick the way you do, you find it's too easy to let the thing become you.
You still sleep with the lights on, not because you're afraid of the dark. Instead, afraid of the prospect of being alone with your thoughts
In the darkness.
You practice conversations in the mirror, like you still have the capacity to step outside of yourself without meticulous self-evaluation and planning.
You cry during tests because you don't understand why you can't get anything on paper without your skin crawling violently from the feeling of potentially being wrong.
You convince yourself that thinking this much about yourself is pretentious or narcissistic.
and do it anyway. You become the person that people give up on inviting places.
Because you'd rather finish something before it starts.
You're the friend who's too hyper-focused on menial things to have real conversations with, because fixation is the only thing keeping you from losing hold of your personality.
You don't tell people about your birthday because you don't want to put yourself into the spotlight.
And end up feeling guilty about being sad when friends don't naturally remember. You refuse to go to parties, absolutely sick to your stomach, panic attack, paralyzed by the idea of rejection in any form, and social interaction with strangers that will remember you that way, forever, unchanging, unmoldable.
You go to therapy, cry about nothing at all, and go home.
You let your anxiety rule you because you're afraid of changing.
And sometimes
You boil over. But you still live, one day at a time like everyone else.
and you cherish the friends that you have, no matter how afraid you are of changing the way they see you.
You push yourself to do the little things first. You find the value within yourself as you are and try.
I think I'm falling for him. love, right? His skin on my skin, I couldn't moan his name loud enough. He sweeps me away. I almost told him then and there. Instead, I bit my tongue and pulled him closer. This love slowly filled me like golden honey dripping down from the edge of a jar, sticky and sweet. Used to think I wouldn't find this feeling of warmth, that I would be forever alone. But after every long winter, the clouds will fade, letting sunlight spill through the trees. Ice will thaw and fresh daisies will sprout. Life and growth and warmth always returns, and I can finally let myself fall, and I can finally let myself fall.
My acrylics make me feel like a bad bitch. Whenever I get acrylics, I pose with them. In every snap I send, use my hand to emphasize every single word I say. And you will never catch me without an iced coffee to show them off. Just something about acrylics makes me feel motivated. I feel like I can be successful. I see myself in a conference room leading my employees in a discussion, clicking my nails on the table, pointing out every wonderful aspect of the diagrams I have drawn out on the whiteboard. Why is that? With these long fake nails, I know that I'm a bad bitch who's gonna go out in the world and achieve great things. Some guys tell me that they're too long, they don't look good. Well, my nails are longer than your tiny ass dick, and I'm gonna become more successful than you can imagine. While you sit back and chew on your nasty little cuticles, these nails are brighter than your future. But let's be honest about the real problem with acrylics. And it's not how we wipe after taking a shit, because that's fun, as long as you're careful. Or how we pick our nose, because that's actually easier with these bad boys. Secretly, the coffin shape makes it really easy to just get up there and dig around, but no. The real problem? How are we supposed to finger ourselves? I mean, I don't want to puncture anything up there, pop any organs, feel the blood splurting out like a Capri Sun. I'll be honest, I like a little pain during sex, but not like this. I could use my knuckles maybe, or a dildo, toothbrush handle, hairbrush handle, possibly some vegetables that are just lying around, waiting to be used. There are endless possibilities, really, but acrylics mess up my sex life. Actually, a few months ago, I had this hella cute baby blue set. But I was horny, right? I was horny as hell. So, what did I do, you ask? Well, I took a nice, smooth Crayola marker, I cleaned that shit, and I went to town. Woo! Oh my Jesus. Shout out to Crayola. Ladies, as long as you make sure the cap is on and it doesn't fall off up there, I can assure you, Crayola markers do the job. And let me just say, since then, acrylics
have not been a problem.
It's early April, and I sit on the back of a bus with my friends. Shortly before we leave, she steps on. She stays by the doors, but waves at my friends. I don't think they know each other too well. She wears heels one day during Dead Week. They're clunky, too big on her feet, and flashier than she expected. By 3:30, her ankles must have been aching, but the next day she's noticeably happier. We run into each other at a party in mid-August, and she recognizes me. We're both overwhelmed and drunk, so we go sit outside on the lawn and stare at the moon. She laments about the nearing end of high school, about the things she wishes she had done, about the things she wishes she hadn't. We babble about music, movies, and what it means to be human. For the first time in a while, I don't feel alone. We see each other every once in a while, but it's not until the beginning of October when we talk again. She proposes lunch, and we make plans for the upcoming week. I miss first period when the day comes. I spend all morning trying to pick out an outfit I actually feel cute in. At lunch, I'm overcome with nerves, anxious belly when I talk to her, avoiding eye contact, even though I don't want to look away. We don't talk about anything super significant, but it's enjoyable. I feel so safe around her, but something in the back of my mind is still telling me to walk on eggshells. Our friendship remains mostly superficial for the next month. Everything is going so well, but something is still making me shield my insecurities. Secretly, I'm jealous of her. Her confidence, her humor, her ability to fit in so well, and I'm scared I'll ruin it with my constantly fluctuating emotions. She won't like me if I start talking about my depression or my struggles with my sense of self. I just want to be there to make her happy. One night, she calls me, sobbing, her knuckles red from pounding against her desk, cuts in her palms from clenching her fists too hard. She doesn't know who else to go to, says I'm the only one who will listen and not judge. Every time she's in a group of people, she feels dissociated from everyone. Like if she disappeared, nobody would care. They all secretly hate her. She's hideous and stupid and alone. She's afraid of the way she takes care of herself. Knows it's killing her. But she doesn't want to be a burden and worry anyone, so she bottles it all up and lets it corrode her mind. She doesn't like being sober anymore. She craves anything that will help her feel distanced from her life. I listen for a long time. Then I wipe my eyes, wash the blood from my fingernails, and clean out the wounds on my palm. I raise my head and stare into the mirror. She stares back at me. I wish I could feel the freedom of being her, but it doesn't work like that anymore. I can't continue to compartmentalize my feelings and disconnect her from the rest of me. I thought that I would ruin everything good about her, that if I let my mental health struggles carry over to that part of myself, it would be too overwhelming. So I started to let her take over in social situations. Her confidence carried me through life, and I felt great when I only focused on those aspects of my identity. But when I was alone, I was left with the rest of me. My anxiety, insecurities, and fear. That new divided version of myself couldn't exist without the pain. It was so ingrained in me that my sense of personal identity felt like it would crumble when I was happy for too long. I idolized and loved her as an escape from the pain. But that pain is as much a part of her as it is a part of me. I'm as much a part of her as I am of me. She's everything I'm not. She's everything I am. She's everything. And I can't continue to pour all of my love into her while ignoring the rest of the thoughts swirling around my mind. She's not perfect, not confident and content like I thought she was, because I'm not those things. Except I am. I just struggle. And that struggle deserves as much love as the rest of me, because me, we are growing. We are learning. I'm learning to be her, to let her be me, to love every part of myself and let the good coexist with the bad. She's becoming an incredible person, worthy of all the love in the world, and I'm letting myself become her. And together, we're blossoming.
She sits on a stool, feet wanting to move. But no, a girl who moves too much is nothing but trouble. Sit in one place, don't cross your legs. Stay still, they say. Give me a chance, I say. You're a dark girl, nothing but misfortune. How unfortunate, a daughter so dark. No one will marry her, all she is night. A dark shadow casting over. How can I see the light when you are the darkness? My brightness hid within, your gloominess clouding over. I think. I can't say it though. A girl who speaks too much is a disgrace. A little lighter. A little lighter, is worth less than your skin. One hangs herself swaying right to left. She wasn't a fit to the family. A dark skin that was abused. Kali Nalapu, dirty, the chants ring through the ears, tears streaming down her cheeks as her cry for help is neglected. A fire burning through her body till her last breath, all she thought about was the color of her skin. Yet another one who wasn't a fit.
I miss someone. She was so pretty and so nice. I admired her more than I admired anyone before. I thought about her so much. I wanted to be her, or I wanted to be with her. I didn't know how to handle my affection. Apparently she liked me too. And my heart had never felt more full, more strong, bigger. I was afraid that I would hurt her, or she wouldn't like me, or I would do something wrong. I never, ever wanted that. I wish I had let her love me for who I am, not who I thought she wanted me to be. I wish I didn't feel like a liar through it all. I wish I had let myself feel comfortable in her presence. She looked so beautiful in the moonlight. Sitting outside in the dark, I thought that since she couldn't see me, my honesty with her wouldn't be real. I started to tell her the things I actually cared about, was passionate about, what I wanted in life, who I was. I never wanted to hurt her. I never wanted to make her feel bad. I didn't want to burden her. But I did. And I will regret it until the day I die. She thought that I didn't trust her. She thought that I was a liar. She thought that she was making me uncomfortable and hurting me. I suppose some of that is true. But I wish she never knew. She looked so beautiful in the moonlight. She looked so beautiful in the moonlight. I always wanted to listen to her speak. She told stories so well, they were alive when she spoke. I could hear her love for life and her want for adventure. I wish I had never made her feel held back. I wish I had never hurt her. I wish she didn't feel like she had to leave me. So I would be okay. I wish I could have been the person she wanted me to be. To not lie about it. To be honest. And perfect. I wish I could let go.
bodies, bent over, backs aching, creating, paving, providing. That is where my body comes from. 70 miles of marching, stumbling, surviving. That is where my body comes from.
My blood is swirled with dirt and sun and sky. I am a borderland, made of weary travelers, of names with sharp edges and breathy curves. Battles between colonizers and colonized curse through my veins. My wavy hair is a snaking river, carrying pieces of my ancestors in the current, flowing into the ocean of this body.
I'm out of place, out of mind. I think of the same gray skies my ancestors have looked up to throughout time. What's different is that this time I am free, in and out. They were enslaved for the British to rule out. I think about their stories, I envision that I'm with them, that they're with me, because it feels like if I think of them, a piece will be with me. Bodies taken over from an island that once was theirs. Sugarcane and guava trees, that is where my body comes from. Families torn apart with the hopes to meet again in a country that doesn't want them. That is where my body comes from. I have to honor my ancestors, honor their sacrifices, because if I don't, I'm afraid they will become lost. Back home, back into my arms, that is where I feel at home. You're my whole body.
Bodies in red dirt kneeling, sharecropping, rice, beans, and bitter greens. That is where my body comes from. Migration, journeys overseas, escaping, exploring, returning. That is where my body comes from.
What is the impact of physical distance? Of faraway roots and trunks whose branches smooth my hair and kiss my cheek. What's the destiny? Got lost but found my way out of here. I do this for the future of a broken valley tree.
I hear their ears ring with the foghorn of a crowded ship, with a drumbeat that reverberates through their bodies as if amplifying a heartbeat and carrying the sound out of their chests.
The color in your day, hold on to the culture you still have. My lineage is mine.
You don't have to carry all of the weight. You don't have to bury all of the memories.
I'm reminded by their remnants. The smell of an old, colorful sari, dupatta or lenga, radiating the joyfulness they hold onto me I collected. Retracing our steps to find our paths intertwined. I hope we meet again in another world. I wish to thank them and bring them pride in becoming the powerful, outspoken woman they were not able to express out in their world. I want them to see that it's different now. And as much as we need change, I want them to see our growth.
How can one body contain all of this without shattering into fragments, pulled back into their respective continents, scattered across the globe? This body is a history book with all the stories untold.
Hold on, love, hold on, love, hold on to each other when you can.
My lineage is mine, my lineage is me, is my body. It gives.
Come back home, back into my eyes. That is where I feel at home. You're my home body. Was forced to disappear. Your life fulfilled my way out of here to this world future. A broken family tree. Time will always come around to meet you with the answers. Home is in your body. Home is left behind for now. Home is when we meet again.
Thank you everyone so much for tuning in to the second performance of Our Monologues 2021. We appreciate your support so much.
Don't forget to check out our donation website. The link is in our description box below. Thank you again so much for tuning in. Goodbye.